Devon Cox from Inflow, and I'll be talking about Best Buy as it relates to our best-in-class study that we recently did. Best Buy is a good example because they are obviously a huge omnichannel retailer, but they're not Amazon. And so they have to compete with Amazon. So they have to do some things that maybe are a little more innovative, and they have to try new things. And today I want to focus on their product page. So let's go to there. I'm going to pick a product that's somewhat configurable, like a laptop. So jumping in here, some of the things that we like about this page and are becoming best practices are how they handle the different sections in the product page. So their accordion treatment here, which used to be very much in vogue, but went away and now it's coming back. But this we've actually tested in a couple of different areas, a couple of different of our client sites, and it's worked pretty well. And so we think this is kind of an emerging trend that people should at the very least test out and see if it improves conversion. One thing that we've always noted from way back in the day, 10, 15, 12 years ago, is when you have a section about reviews, or even if it's not an accordion, just showing the review stars will move conversion half a point, just because it's like a trust badge, but it also has reviews and social proof. So it's a funny little thing that always seems to work. But anyway, back to the top. The main things about their product page that's interesting for us is how they do their cross-sells and upsells as part of a kind of configurator. Even on products that don't necessarily have product options, they still create support options, accessory options, and they seem to do a really good job of this. We've also tested this approach, and you've seen this on Amazon too, but Best Buy's is incorporated into their kind of buy box area, so their added cart area. So you really are forced through it. And they also have the typical full width cross-sell element, but what they really do differently is kind of force a cross-sell in the buy box before the add to cart, which is super interesting, and obviously must be working for them. They've had it for years and years. Other things about this, thumbnails on the left versus thumbnails across the bottom. We don't say there's a best practice for that because we've seen it work both ways. Like Amazon does them on the bottom. This doesn't seem to matter that much as long as they work well, which they do here. There's a hover behavior that changes the image, which is awesome. And very simple zoom behavior. Click it, it's zoomed. Click it again, it's zoomed again. They're doing that really well. They're omni-channel, so they have pickup in store. I'm not going to get into that today too much. It's its own separate area, very detailed, many different options and choices in there. So add to cart, they have save, which is a best practice for sure to be able to save. Saving on the product page is a little bit advanced. Not all sites do that, but you certainly should be able to save your product from the cart page. More to consider, the upsell element. What we like about this is how prominent it is. On many sites, you'll have one or more description specs areas before you get to the cross-sell, but here you basically can't miss it. Just a regular scroll will put it in context with the add to cart, which is really great. And that's the other benefit of their accordion treatment, is that they've got a good reason not to have to shove a bunch of descriptions or high-level stuff up here. They don't really do a highlights. One of our best practices is product highlights. So here where you'd have a couple bullets where you'd say something that this product's particularly good at or great for, they are kind of using this for that. This comes with a free value antivirus, another of their cross-sell element. And of course, they've got trade-in stuff that most sites don't. They're doing this well, the price area with the reference pricing here and calling out the savings amount. We've tested calling out savings amounts and saving percents. In general, if it's a high ticket item, savings amount, like dollar amount, usually does better. But if it's a lower ticket item, saying something like 15% off usually does better, because saying like $3 off is not that impressive. And they have financing, their own financing. They're not using a firm or anything like that, but we would say best practice is to use a buy now, pay later, like a firm or something similar. The review area is pretty much perfect. Like, this is what we say that you should do. You should have the stars, you should have the aggregate rating and the number, and you should have the Q&A next to it. This goes a step further. This is also best practice, but we usually don't have space here. So this is a really nice treatment. The review distribution is a best practice. You see it on Amazon, you see it in various places, but it just adds credibility to the review. And if you have a review distribution, you better have a 1-star review in there, because otherwise it looks completely fake. So this is a great example of just a really well executed thing. They have meta pieces of the review, which is awesome. And this might be part of your review vendor or not. It's pretty advanced. It's obviously really great. So this treatment's really great. I'm not sure what their vendor is. Usually you can't tell on a marquee site like this, but they might be using some kind of bizarre voice or something like that. But this is really terrific how they did this. So everything's really well done up here. We've got the cross sell. One thing that we might suggest as we talk about this, there's one cross sell here, and then there's one accessory cross sell here. So our experts recommend, and then a third one people also bought. So actually, we wouldn't recommend anything. We recommend you do this and have 3 cross sells or 3 accessory cross sell upsell elements on your page. Most people or sites that we run into usually only have 1, and that is just leaving AOV on the table. So these days we say 3 is what you should be doing. And if you don't have 2, then you're really just losing money. It's a mistake to not have at least 2. What I also like to point out is the different types of cross sells. So this is a similar products cross sell. So related items, related because they're replacements, right? This is an accessory cross sell. So it's probably somewhat manually merchandised section. It certainly doesn't pick similar items, right? And then also bought, which is another level of accessories. And so they put the things that they think they can get a cross sell in easiest here. This is powered by some kind of similar purchase algorithm. But that's the key thing. When you're talking about cross sells and increasing AOV, you should have 3 elements, but they should be 3 different recipes or algorithms powering them. And that's what they're doing really great. Like I said, we tested these accordions. They work pretty good. They don't always win. This doesn't rise to the level of you should do this if you're not doing accordion. It's more you should test this because it's becoming a best practice. But we've seen this win more often than not in testing on e-com sites. They've got the compare. Honestly, I've never seen the compare do great things, but sometimes you just need to have it, especially on something that's such a commodity like a computer that everybody has. Everyone can sell this computer. So it's important for those kinds of sites, but it's not important for everyone. Reviews, of course, super important. And we've also tested the order of these sections. They've got reviews up higher than they could be. That's probably pretty good treatment. The reviews are the most important facet along with the overview. And for some clients, specifications is super important. If it's kind of a specialty product, then specifications is quite important. Q&A, definitely important. And then if there are different grades or different levels, this obviously can be super important, but most e-com don't offer that. These benefit statements, I think this is part of the footer, but we do say that on the product page, you should have product benefit statements. They're kind of doing that with this one. This is a free value, so it's a benefit statement. We'd suggest that in this area, you do either product highlights, calling out why the product's great, or benefits of buying from your site. So you often see free shipping, which is not as big a benefit as it used to be, but there might be a warranty benefit that's unique to you. Any kind of competitive advantage that you have, we'd say to put up there. One other thing, this one's trickier. This originated on Amazon, but the idea of adding all these high-used accessories into your cart at once. We've had mixed results with this in testing, but it seems like a good idea. And we know it can work, but it's hard to make work. So if you're going to try and test this, you should plan on multiple rounds of tests to try and get it right. And the recipe is really one of the most important things. Lots of times we talk about the placement and the UI and the treatment, like should we have a checkbox here, should be vertical, should be horizontal. But for something like this, the most important factor is the recipe or the algorithm that generates these products. And that can be quite difficult to get right. And so you could do a round of testing where you do the layout first, and then 3 rounds of testing where you try different rule sets or algorithms here, probably with some manual overrides as well in order to make this work. So that's my best in class review of the Best Buy product page. Thanks, and I hope it's helpful.